Let's see how many want to learn that strategy. Oh, short gold. I am not shorting the miners right now. In fact, I'm alleviating some covered calls on the miners, and I'm looking to pick up a couple of the miners. In fact, not yet. Not yet. We're getting there though, right? For the market, I agree with you. Like the market is not screaming swing trade yet. The market will only scream swing trade when it breaks out. But the pattern going into the market does. And that's when you start to see separation in certain stocks. They start to set up a little bit better. Market's taking a little bit of a bath right now. It's getting cleaned. It is testing people's patience on the intraday side of the equation. There's no doubt about that. What's up, Riz? How you doing, brother? Can't hear you. Can anybody else hear Riz, or is it just me? Yeah, gotcha.
I should be good to go now.
He's good now. He's good now. What's up, brother?
How you doing? Good to see you.
I am doing fantastic. Got my lab here in a little bit. We are going to be talking about technical front running, what it is,
Wow.
what it isn't, and how to take advantage of it.
Well, sounds like
Somebody
a
give me
great
a good read
class.
on the intraday chart because I kind of feel like it's a mess on the 5 minute chart right now.
I mean, on the 9 minute, we've just been ranging.
Yeah,
We're right. We're on the lower side of the 15-minute opening range. So we haven't moved very much in the whole intraday. Although they have been big moves. Over 100 and 50 points. So there was a nice sell off.
yeah. There's
We
like a
tested the
40 point
200.
range on the ES today. It's not terrible. It's just not been clean.
Yeah, yeah, it's been a difficult day trading. I myself was light on. I took my trades early in the morning, called it a day, and
Yeah.
since then I've been really watching the market. The one thing that did catch my eye was the drastic move in Bitcoin. There was a huge amount of liquidations that happened today during the intraday. I heard a few million, folks, $1 million got liquidated with the sell-off that happened in Bitcoin. It almost seemed like the leading indicator of what the market was going to do.
Oh, definitely. I would definitely agree with that. Risk. It's a one of the number one risk on asset classes, and usually gets a little bit of early pump. Um, yeah, I certainly think there's some hesitation here. The last 2 days, right before the cash opened today, and then yesterday, as we were kind of coming into power hour, there were two situations where the market tried to get above that intraday resistance level on the ES, that 68, 65 number. Yesterday, I got stopped out on that trade, and I was not in the market this morning to catch that breakout earlier today. But looking back at them, like those are two pretty clean breakouts, quite frankly. Neither one of them stuck on the intraday side. Market then tried to test underneath today, came right back inside range. And so it's when you make the Iron Condor comment, I kind of laugh because it kind of feels like that's a little bit what's going on. You know what I mean? It's like, okay, let those condors bleed until Friday, and then we can do some giddy up maybe next week type thing. But no, I'm with you on that. It's been a little bit frustrating on that intraday side of the equation. At least for me, it's been a little frustrating the last day and a half or so because there was two clean breakouts. Neither one of them kept their edge there, and now you're right back down into range. I don't want to paint too much volatility against the overall price action. You look at the daily chart, we're talking dojis here. It's not exactly a sensitive price environment right now. But yeah, I think that's probably accurate right here. You're pretty aggressive on your trailing because things don't last in a trend on this pattern right now.
Yeah, it's a good scalpers market right now.
Um, I would agree with that, and I would also agree with it. It's becoming a stock pickers market from a longer duration than just a day trade. There are really good bear setups out there right now, and there are really good bull setups out there right now. Like there's a little bit for everybody, and so it's turning into a stock pickers market. And quite frankly, I do enjoy stock pickers markets like quite a bit.
So you're looking for value right now to accumulate.
I'm looking for any quality pattern on any stock on my watch list, and I'm hitting it. Like I got in CCJ yesterday. Got a couple energy plays rocking right now. I got some gold stocks playing right now. Tracking very patiently the pullback on Eli Lilly. Got a debit credit spread on Google rocking. Ace, that's what traders say. My technical mentor told me one time I would trade my mom if I had to. That's the trader's philosophy. And I said, Jeff, your mom's a beautiful person. That makes you a terrible human being.
When are they going to split Eli Lilly?
Oh, please, yesterday, last month, last year, like please.
I think I'll wait 2 days after that split happens. I think it's interesting.
They could have split a long time ago, to be honest with you.
It makes it impossible for new investors to get in, especially those with small portfolios at $1,000 a share.
Nobody's
It
touching a
reminds
$1,000 stock. Yeah, you're absolutely right.
it's out of touch for normal investors. So how can you raise capital when your stock is so expensive? Chipotle was like
That's
that
what
for a
that's what
while.
Google found out a few years back. That's what Chipotle found out a few years back. You get above those $1,000 price tags, you miss out on a lot of liquidity out there in the market. It's and what a lot of these people that run these big companies don't get is certain price points matter a heck of a lot for certain trading systems. And Eli Lilly doesn't get any covered call love from anybody not named big time hedge funds, big time investors, big time everything because it's just too expensive of a stock. I mean, to do a covered call on Lilly, like to legitimately have covered call analysis on Lilly where you're compounding gains and all that jazz, you probably need I would say a $500,000 portfolio. Not a lot of retail can afford that.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, Ace and everybody else, if you have a front running candidate, bring it to the lab. Let's break it down. Let's discuss it. Let's prep it. I got a couple chart examples that we're gonna be working on, but I would love more case studies. To front run or to not front run? That is the question.
NASDAQ. See what the 20-minute looks like. Down, say 20-minute so far.
So why do you think the market can't giddy up and go either side of the direction here? Like daily chart is really just consolidating pretty honestly pretty boring on the daily chart.
We just don't have anything in the market to move the market. Even what we had
Is
come
this
out
just
this
one of the
morning.
calm before the storm? Like, because that's how I see it too, guys. Like, I see the same thing. And I would say the last 2 days of Catalyst economically have been mixed. You take yesterday's data points, negative on labor, positive on PMI. Today's data points, positive on initial claims, negative on the other report we got here today. Mixed data is having a hard time getting the market united here. Still waiting on Catalyst. You got PCE tomorrow. maybe, but I have a hard time seeing PCE in front of the Fed being that catalyst. We got some big
Yes.
time Fed announcements coming.
Yeah, the last time we had PCE, we didn't really have that much of a reaction. The market was kind of business as usual.
Yeah. It's an important report to track for economic perspectives, but it's not a widely guarded, respected report in the markets. Like CPI gets much more love. PPI report gets much more love. Wage inflation within the labor market numbers gets much more love. And then it's PCE. Even though it's the Fed's number one gauge, like everybody else, like, yeah. The beige book, Ace. Yeah, I know the beige book. It's a lesser report. It doesn't get a lot of love. It goes in conjunction with the minutes. We do get economic. We get SCP dot plot. We get it all this meeting, guys. We get it 4 times a year. Fed meets 8 times a year. We get it 4 times a year, and we get it on the quarterlies. So December would be one of them. Yes. And I care about those things like quite a bit, but I will just say the dot plot is very rarely accurate. Like the dot plot has about the same probability of accuracy as historical volatility to implied volatility, which is inaccurate 90% of the time. By the way, what that means is every trader's concern about the future typically doesn't play out in the future. Now, the SCP, I do give a lot more credence to the SCP. I think the SCP is important. Now, dot plot is part of the SCP, but the summary of economic projections kind of gives a bird's eye look into how the Fed sees the environment. I think both are important to understand, but I give a little greater credence to the economic projections than I do the dot plot. Oh, absolutely. I think we're trying to do everything. I think everybody that understands the Fed tries to do the same thing. Try to get an understanding of exactly where the Fed is head is at. Because if anybody has lived through the market in the last 6 weeks, a lot of the price movement, both up and down, has been Fed induced. In fact, I would say from JPAL October 30th until, who was it, Governor Waller last week, like most of the price action we have seen move in the market is Fed induced. And so a lot of us Fed watchers, we like to get a, as best of an understanding as we can. And so reading the dots this time compared to last time, seeing the summary of economic projections, obviously Powell's commentary, all of that's going to play a role into how quite frankly a lot of the market sees the projections going into next year. So I geek out on that stuff, and I know you geek out on that stuff, but not everybody does. I love the number one environment I love trading in is a market with an easy theme that not that both I'm going to say this just bluntly that both the smart people and the not so smart people can truly understand. I love easy themes that are easily digestible in the market. And we don't have one right now. We have mixed. We have negative labor, negative economic, concern on inflation, and a Fed who's stuck between two hard places right now. There you go, buddy. There you go. The 2010s Bank of International Settlement let's all expand together because we're never going to have a recession again because modern monetary theory is going to take care of that. Yep, yep. That was that's a little bit what I'm talking about, brother. Oh, don't get me started. I'll get it. I'll get it. I'll get angry, like Hulk level angry on inflation transitory. It's on Pal's tombstone already. It was probably the worst policy year the Fed has had in the last 20 years, probably. And it was such an easy policy. It was such an easy call, and that's why it was so stupid. It was so easy to say inflation was not going to be transitory based on the supply chain for two reasons. We were popping helicopter checks, raining them like it was Money Mayweather at the club, and secondarily, we were coming out of a global pandemic that where every country in the world was going to tighten up their supply chain and try to make sure that they weren't going to get hit the next time. And yet Powell just misread that for some reason. Just made no sense. Um, well, I took me some action in some small mid cap stocks today. I want to see this thing get confirmed, but I do like the breadth expanding. That kind of goes to my stock picker, type of market environment right now. And this is not a bad breakout look. Like you go from slight extension into a resistance level into a high base going into a multiple time frame breakout. RSP is also trying to do that kind of exact same saga right now. If you look at RSP, same type of pricing, same type of levels, same type of analysis. RSP hasn't confirmed the breakout, but as just if RSP confirms the breakout, we're seeing a cyclical move. When IWM confirms a breakout, you're seeing a cyclical move. One thing I've seen this week over and over and over again in earnings is a lot of expectations that were dire, and it's not dire. Like a lot, and what I mean by that is the consumer. You take Dollar General, for example, today had a 36% beat against EPS. That's not because Dollar General is so amazing this year versus last year. Revenue is basically flat year over year. It's because the expectations were so low for these consumer facing companies. And IWM has a lot of cyclically, sensitive companies out there. Same thing with the Dow Jones, same thing with RSP. As we've seen those earnings reports come out, you look at Dollar General up big today. You're looking at, Walmart breaking and running. You're looking at consumer discretionary, consumer facing companies do really, really well right now. And a lot of that is not because, once again, they are just glorious and amazing and top shelf. I want to say that the consumer is kind of weak right now in general. But expectations were so low that now that we're seeing some real earnings results, like it's just kind of flipping the script on the retail side of the equation. Quite interesting, honestly. If you guys want during the lab, though, we can do some scanning. If you want, look at some IWM small and mid cap components in FinViz, and I'll kind of show you how I do broad based scanning in FinViz if you want. Do you guys use FinViz at all? Oh, I use it. I use it. I use it a lot. It's a really good custom scanning tool. I don't use it for outside of that, but I do like it from cut. You can really customize your scans. A lot of good fundamental data. All of that jazz. Oh, scanning is fun. Okay, let me rephrase. Scanning's not fun, but it can be if you love technical analysis. Let's say it like that. Selling covered calls against long-term investments takes me about a grand total of an hour a month, RQ. Processing a swing trade takes me literally minutes. And I work off my watch list a lot, which means I know every one of those companies like the back of my hand. I probably do 30 to 50 covered calls a month. Grand total of an hour. How does a plumber only take 5 minutes to fix something that somebody else takes 5 weeks? Like, I don't know. Knowledge is a tiebreaker. Oh, Steve told me he's happy about crypto, by the way. I don't want to put words in his mouth. Yeah, that's the issue, Amaro, with FinViz. There's a lot of buttons and honestly, it's like a lot of buttons in almost everything. Most of them are nonsensical. You don't need to worry about them. And you can manipulate your scans using moving averages as well. Um, you shouldn't ever pay for a guru, Amaro. We can have those conversations here, my friend. Listen, I hope he does. I'll show you my AI Gold Rush watch list in that I just updated as well. If you guys want to steal any names off that watch list, we'll go through that today as well. We got a lot to talk about in the lounge in the lab today.
So, Coach, what do you think about Dixie here? Have you taken a look at the dollar? See where it's kind of stands at right now?
Yeah, when you're looking at dollars, still finding that 99 number, a little hammer today off the violation yesterday, underneath all important shorter duration moving averages. I do think it has an edge to the downside, but it's also slightly extended going into that break of 99. And so when you're looking at the intraday side of the equation, just seeing a little bit of slowing momentum here, but I still think the daily edge is to the downside. Now, are you thinking about a trade on that?
No, I just kind of watch it just to see what the dollar is doing, because if the dollar
Very
goes up, the
important.
market will kind of
Yeah.
dip, So with the dollar going up this afternoon, the market was just kind of steady and did have some dips, and the
Yeah.
dollar did kind of have some pops because of that. So
Yeah, it popped back up into resistance. Euro dollar came back down into a little bit of support, but I just kind of have these both the euro dollar and the dollar index are inverted, but I just have both of these as slight extension going into breakouts. And so, not too surprised we're seeing a little bit of just hesitation here on both of them. But in general, euro dollars above the 9 EMA on a breakout, dollar index underneath the 9 EMA on a breakdown. Like intraday analysis looks pretty good on the bull side, but the daily chart has some challenges for the bulls.
Yeah, got a long way to go.
30 minutes. You know, the amazing thing is on the pullback on the Japanese currency, it certainly has helped. It's kind of what's led the dollar to break that support level. But 10-year yield on the Japanese yield is still going up. Yeah, when you're talking about interest rates in the 2010s, global synchronized growth was that theme that emerged out of that. And it really was born out of Japan with the modern monetary theory. But yeah, yeah, I'm with you on that, bro. The last one was extremely volatile. Um, and the thing about those unwindings, though, they're just volatility events because once the trade is unwound, everybody gets back into normalcy, right? But the anticipation builds some volatility, and then the unwinding of the trade, if it does occur, it's an if not. Like we got to see it, but it like all signs do point to them raising, and them raising would spark a little bit of the unwind, but they don't last long. You know what I mean? Like we're not talking months here. We're talking days, maybe a couple weeks. No, no patterns on the hourly could take days to form. That is absolutely correct. I'm still thinking about your question there, Omar. Give me a second. I would say it's pointless because, like, I don't trade the weekly chart, for example, tomorrow. I don't trigger based on the weekly chart. But you're damn sure I'm going to understand what those weekly levels are, and I'm going to understand where the weekly pattern is, and I'm going to understand what the weekly trend is because anything I trade underneath that is just a fractal move off that trend itself. And so it's not pointless to look at the longer time frames, even if you're a scalper, even if you're an aggressive day trader who trades, the 5 minute time frame or the 15-minute time frame or whatnot. You always want to have an understanding of those the trends, patterns, and important levels on those longer duration time frames. Because a lot of times the 1 hour time frame is going to run into the daily time frame, and that's what we call a multiple time frame resistance level. And when you break out of a multiple time frame resistance level, it's more powerful than when you just break out of a singular time frame. And so you're as a technician, I wish I could just say, all you have to do is look at this one time frame and just trade this one time frame and whatnot. And to a certain extent, a lot of traders do just kind of have their fixation on that one time frame. But I am a very big believer in trading with the direction of the prevailing winds. And to do that, you need to have an understanding of where those longer time frames are. 100%, Anon. 100% Ace. Like again, I don't look at a lot of monthly charts. Like they're not part of my time frame analysis like some of the other time frames are, but I want to have a general understanding of even that time frame. Like I don't look at it every day, um, and I don't look at it on every stock I'm trading. Like, but I want to have an understanding of what all the time frames are doing. We're talking about the number two oldest profession in the history of mankind here, guys. We're talking about the environment where the pros play in. We're like we need to make sure that we have our edge. And we're talking about making money or losing money. Make sure you check your time frames because a lot of times when you're wondering why a trade didn't work out tomorrow and you're like why this hit some random level and came down. Usually, not all the time, but usually it's not a random level. Usually it's a much more important level on a deeper time frame that you can't see on those shorter time frames. You lose the context of the longer term when you stare at the shorter time frames all day. And the shorter time frames aren't the truth of the market, guys. The longer time frames are the truth of the market. So even if you don't trade it tomorrow, I would still strongly recommend that you understand the general trend pattern and important levels on the 1 hour time frame. Specifically as a day trader, the levels. I love a trend. I love catching trends, and I have a saying, Ace. I would prefer to catch a trend than a trade. No, I know. So am I. Even if you're a scalper, I think you should look at the 1 hour time frame. Even if your average holding period is 7 minutes, I think you should have an understanding of the 1 hour time frame. I don't think you're ever going to find a veteran day trader that will tell you not to look at the daily chart there, Omar. And we're talking about the 1 hour time frame. It's more about context, building your building your case. You know what I mean? I guess my question is why couldn't you hold? Because it's probably not because you're too broke. It's probably because you had too much money into the trade. I'm not. And again, I'm guessing there, Omar. Yeah, that's it too. There are, I mean, obviously there's massive benefits to trading on the prop side, but there are some of those limitations there, and that's one of them. Uh, it is this week. Flat out doji so far on the week. Again, I don't think that's bad. Like personally, I don't mind consolidation patterns. I think they clean up things. I think they create levels that make it easy to determine where the next move is, in my estimation. Well, that's 4 days, right? We got 4 days, Ace, for the FOMC tomorrow, counting tomorrow, then Wednesday. Yeah. If the market doesn't break out either in front or immediately after the FOMC, I'll start questioning a little bit of this end of the year rally, Ace. What are your thoughts on that? What do we got? Japan's 5 days after, I want to say. Let me check. So you got the Fed next week. That is on obviously Wednesday. Then you got Japan on the 18th. Very early, by the way, it looks like. But they're tentative. Japan's always tentative. They don't like give that exact time. By the way, on that same day, we got the core CPI report. Initial claims. Big day. By the way, in our front running conversation later on today, I will be talking about continuation and reversal analysis because it's all part of the same pie. I don't think you should, and Ron, just go with me on this for a second. I don't think you should take too much from a doji day in the market. You know what I mean? Like we had a breakout yesterday. I took an L, got stopped out. It really didn't change my opinion of the environment in the market. I don't want to take too much away when the market's simply in a little bit of consolidation right now. And it's waiting on a catalyst, obviously, at this point. A doji, Omaro, is basically the candle right now is what's called a spinner. It's a type of doji. There's a lot of different types of dojis in the market. You got morning stars, evening stars, spinners, gravestone, hanging mans. Like there's a lot of different variations of the doji. The doji is when the opening and the closing candle is fairly equal to one another. And so that's what a doji is. Oh, I'm looking at the daily chart. It's a little tiny spinner. High inside yesterday's candle. It's not bad bullish development, to be perfectly honest with you. Time frame I'm looking at is the daily chart right now. That's what I'm saying. Like when you're trying to trade within a doji as a day trader, there's just not a lot of consistency to the price action. Everything's up, everything's down, everything's up, everything's down. There's just not a lot of consistency there. Thank you, Steve. And you put in a very cute dog. No, no, I would consider yesterday's candle more of a hammer. Now I'm looking at the ES, Omaro. So let's make sure that we're looking at the same things here. I would say yesterday's candle was a doji base. Yeah. I did a uh, did you were you here when I did the candle basic candle analysis? And by the way, I've been doing this 20 years tomorrow and I learn things still all the time. I have learned things from you guys quite a bit, honestly. Just in these sessions together, talking, discussing, like you guys have taught me things, and I love it. That's why I love communities like this where we can have these conversations over time. There's too much information out there in the market. There's too much. There's so it's impossible to stay on top of all of it. It's impossible to stay on top of every technique, every system, every concept, every data point, every news story. Like when I think about traders just trading by themselves, I find that to be a little bit more difficult and very lonely. Band of brothers. By the way, a great book. Stephen Ambrose's fantastic book, adopted into one of the best TV series of all time. And the number one thing I would say when you're reading a candle is everybody's trying to understand the momentum condition of the market. Big candles are expansion candles. Small candles are contraction candles. Big candles are momentum based. Small candles are loss of momentum based. You master that, you don't need to master the names. I think we're all a little bit more emotional. I'll tell you, Becky's session on Tuesday really made me think about how much discretionary trading I do versus how much system trading I do. It made me reevaluate a little bit.
Hmm. You're gonna have to watch that recording on YouTube.
Yeah, it was good. I really enjoyed it. So the first part of the lab, guys, we're talking front running. Towards the later part of the lab, we'll be talking about scanning in FinViz a little bit, just to show you guys how I do it. And then we'll take a look at the new AI Gold Rush watch list I created this week, if you want. I do rank them from top to bottom on 4 tiers, by the way. And yes, Ace, NVIDIA is still the top of the heap. Yeah, I saw that, Ace. I thought it. I really enjoyed it. If you haven't seen it, check it out on YouTube. Google is the third on the list. Um, they went up 2 spots on the list, and basically because of 2 reasons. Number one is because the search case got alleviated, and then number two, the TPU situation is very big for Google moving forward. Taiwan Semiconductor is still the second company on the list. They're too integral to the entire AI space, but sixth, Broadcom sixth, in front of Amazon, some other companies, but yeah, Broadcom very important. Um, John, I've given that a lot of thought because I've done a lot with Taiwan over the years. It's a company I have a deep respect for. It's one of the most important companies in the market, quite frankly, and it has risk to China invading. And what they're trying to do to alleviate some of that is move some of the production outside of Taiwan. Um, and for us in America, it's very important for us to keep that relationship very clean. And so they are starting to move a little bit of their production into the United States. In fact, I believe they're building 2 foundries right now in the United States, and so they're trying to diversify from that. Yeah, I could see that tomorrow. Not my style, but definitely I could see that. Guys, we got imbalances coming out right now. ES pushing back up into the middle of the range.
It looks like NQ is breaking out as well. Testing the 26 just got above the 200 here on the 20-minute. Sorry, I'm having a few issues with TradingView right now, so I'm trying to get it fixed. Trying to bring that chart line back in.
Tomorrow it'll be posted on YouTube, most likely in the morning.
Balances are out. S&P buy side 310 million. NASDAQ buy side 765 million. Dow buy side 420 million. Mag 7 buy side 490 million. So all to the buy side. Mm, there's that. I don't think this can break out like that. What do you think, Coach Matt? You think we can break out like that? We got room to the 200. Could this be the time we
Like,
actually break out on NQ?
and hold it.
Yeah, hold it at least. At least close above it. I mean, it's not even
Yeah,
really
I think
close
we're
above it because we still have an hour and 9 minutes still. It looks like we got some announcements as well. 5 days. Yeah, yeah. I'm actually looking at getting another system. My system is getting really bogged down with, some of the stuff I got running. So I'm doing some research on what I can get, and my system's not bad, but I've got a 2960 Super, and I really need something better. I want one of those the 50, 59, whatever's. Anyways, but yeah, the GP, oh, it's crazy. Yes.
As someone who
Well,
had to
there
just
was
fix my computer and every single thing in it except the RAM, I was very thankful that the RAM was not there because RAM is ridiculous right now.
yeah, this.
The other parts were a little elevated too, but RAM's ridiculous right now.
I was also looking at a hardware router, and the price of it went up a little over $100 just to go from like a 32 to a 64. Was it 120, 130, something like that. I saw one at Best Buy. I saw a pretty nice system at Best Buy for like $4,000. Or was it Amazon? Costco has some nice pre-builds. I don't, I think my mother-in-law has a Costco card.
When you're born in Utah, they give you Costco cards.
What? They're out of memory? They're out of the memory business?
Quantum's getting a bid today.
Whoa, this is interesting. So they're exiting so that they can provide their own infrastructure more memory. I mean, but there's other companies making memory too. They're not the only company. Got 2 minutes to close.
Hey Riz, I'm gonna pop over to my room and get it ready, bro.
Sure thing. Thank you, Coach, for stopping in and have a great class.
Thank you, brother.
And thanks everybody for tuning in today. Hope you all had a great trading day and joining me in the morning session and here in Power Hour. Don't forget to catch Coach Matt's class coming up here in the next minute or two so you can pop into his Discord channel below. For our viewers out there across all the interwebs, hey, check out our socials. But most importantly, jump into Discord because that's where we have all of our great content. And ding, 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 there is our bell. All right, team. Well, y'all have a great day. Again, thank you all. Have a great day in the market. I'll see y'all tomorrow.